All right, welcome back for another episode of the Creative Finance Playbook podcast. Doing a little something different. We've got all of our friends here in our community that have joined us for the St. Pete Meetup Day, and so just wanted to record a little something, kind of share some stories. We've got Carlos from Cape Coral, Lexi, our acquisitionist. We've got Ryan and Alyssa from New York, and Carol, who is also from Florida. So we're just going to go around, chat a little bit about what's going on, deals that we're seeing, and anything that's kind of like top of mind today.
I think it's
and my husband Joe.
Hey, everybody. I think deal flow, right? We got leads. We're talking about lead generation. So Carlos and I were going over a few things, actually kind of bragging about how you two are getting a lot of leads for free organically without having to spend huge checks, because I think Carlos and I were chatting about how do we crank up our lead machines? How do I crank up the lead machines while Carlos is busy because you drive a lot with your job, being in Cape Coral, driving to Miami. That's like a lot of driving you're doing, right? Mm-hmm. So how do we generate more leads that generates more lead flow? And I think that's one of our big topics we've been having today. And I keep on picking your brains because you two are doing really well with just generating leads
for free,
incoming leads. And so this is kind of why I'm happy we're all here, because I want to kind of touch base. I know we were just doing it a minute ago, but like your secret success and your KPIs, like how many posts are you doing a day?
5 posts a day.
So we're doing 5 posts a day. That's in 5 different Facebook groups. And these are like, what kind of Facebook groups are you guys doing them in?
Garage sale, community, just town groups.
So garage sale groups, community groups, yard sale groups. Are you in real estate investing groups posting too? Or is it just like the local, where all the locals are generally?
Sometimes in Airbnb groups, but mostly just local ones.
Okay, so if you're listening, we're posting it into just local regular groups, not investor groups, not real estate groups. These are just like your local garage sale groups, right? So you're posting 5 of those a day, 5 days a week. So at the end of the week, you're posting in 25 groups. That probably gets you a lot of incoming traffic, but how much of that incoming traffic are actually leads? How many would you say a week?
Probably 10 to 15 good ones.
Okay, so at the end of the month, you're posting into 25 a week, 4 weeks, 100 groups, gets you between 10 and 15. So you're probably getting between 40 to 60 solid leads a month.
Yeah, about 50 closing calls a month, yeah.
So if you're listening, that's 50 leads a month for free. And these are incoming leads, right?
Yep, all inbound.
So, and that's turning into, how many deals would you say on average are you doing a month?
I mean, it's March 13th, we're 505 that will close it.
Okay, which is pretty strong from not having to spend any money.
Mm-hmm.
So when these leads come in, who's calling them?
I am.
Okay. Same thing for us. When our leads come in, Lexi's the one calling them. So it's really finding out that same system. So this is what we were talking about earlier, was how do we get more leads? Because you've done creative finance deals. You've got a bunch of them, actually, just really nice properties in Cape Coral. But what we want to do for Carlos, you're working too much, is how do we turn up your lead machine? So these are some of the things that we're chatting about today during lunch, of how can we do that. And the same thing for Carol's business, because you don't have a lead problem. You actually have the opposite.
We have so many. And yet we're doing the Facebook ads and getting leads. And Carlos and I were talking about, I want to put the leads in Spanish. We're joining a lot of Spanish groups because there's thousands of leads in there. And I want to translate all those blue messages into Spanish.
Yeah. Well, this is what blew my mind. We were in Carol, your system earlier, and you've got like 54,000 leads in there.
We have so many.
My jaw hit the ground. I was like, oh my gosh. Yeah. So lead flow for you is not a problem. Having a second language like Spanish, because I do get a lot of leads in Florida where the folks speak Spanish, and Lexi doesn't speak Spanish. I don't speak Spanish. I'm teaching my 10-year-old, but he's not there yet.
No, he's trying to learn Duolingo.
And Carlos can speak Spanish and he can speak rent to own.
Right.
Which is not easy.
Right. Which is not easy.
That's got to be extra.
No, we were just discussing that, we have in the community, I have some people that reach out to me whenever they have a lead in Spanish. And then it's like, basically you run the first part of the script, we understand where they are, and then we just serve the plate for the second step. So.
Because I'm trying to look at my leads, because I have so many. I can't handle all of them. And some of them don't warrant the focus of my time. the Spanish speaking ones. So how do I monetize every one of those leads to say every Spanish one who comes in, and my AI will speak to them in Spanish. So I know that they only speak Spanish because they'll tell me that. How do I put those in a group to JVs, work with Carlos, and let's partner on those together? I get land leads from expired listings. How do I do tag them and send that to another JV partner to say, how do I monetize and yet keep my focus on my bread and butter, cash, and creative deals that I know? Because we can't be good at everything. Even
it
though we
sounds
try,
great, right?
right? We try, but
Well, I think
Doesn't make
what
sense.
you're working on, what you're doing a great job of, building your village around you, because you can't do it on your own. So finding somebody who does land deals. So when you get that land lead, hey, listen, I think I've got something that looks great. When I have that person that doesn't speak English and they only speak Spanish, like to have somebody like Carlos help, like, hey, you're an investor, we're different investors, but like, here's something where we can work together on.
Yep.
And maybe we could help out the seller
help the
potentially.
seller, yeah.
And, get a good deal for you guys both too. So I think that's an important thing of community and having a village around you, because you can't do it all on your own. And the right people in your corner makes all of the difference. Having that right agent, the right title company or attorney,
Right,
having some other resources. Because I know for me, there's a lot of times where Lexi, she put up 7 deals last month in February, which is a great month. But she couldn't have done that all on her own. Like, we have Camille, our assistant, and she's wonderful. And we work a lot with Camille to make sure she helps Lexi. And I'm trying to help Lexi. We have Iris in our team that helps. So it's not just Lexi on some island by herself, because as great as she is, I don't know if production beat is high if she had to do it all on her own. So having that village around you is super important. Obviously, lead flow is huge. You're already having that solved. Right. So what am I doing with all these leads? Like, we got to clear some of that up. And we kind of talked a little bit about some
yeah,
of
because
those.
there's so many. Where's the gold?
Yeah.
It might be in the middle of that pile.
Yeah.
That's where I need to put my focus.
Yeah.
Knowing which leads are the most motivation, the ones I should be spending my time at. And Lexi and I were talking about, how do I automate? I'm getting the leads from Facebook, like you guys are, but we're manually putting them in a Google sheet. And then when we have all the data, who they are and their address, then we move it into our CRM manually. So we all need to be looking at what's our workflow and how do we automate as much as we can, so we can be focusing on talking to sellers.
The motivated sellers.
Yep.
Well, and I think that's the big key you touched on, because in your CRM of 54,000 people, one thing we did, shout out to Abby right here, she helped me out. But what we did is we started sorting out some of these sellers in our CRM and found out who were the people, by us messaging them, who still has a house for sale. Because out of the thousands, we had 20,000 people in my CRM. Come to find out, a whole bunch of them already sold a house. Right? Well, let's get rid of them. If they don't have another house for sale, because we always ask them that. And sometimes that turns into another deal. So if that house is sold, always ask, do you have another one you want to sell? If they say no, we get them out. No reason taking up all that space in our CRM, because it's just follow up. So we removed like almost 7,000 of our 20,000. Now, out of those 7,000, some of those people still had a house for sale. But then I also look at the level of motivation. Some of them are still completely unmotivated. Like, why are you bothering me? Yes, I want to sell my house, but I'm never going to sell it. And only if I get way too much for it. And then I'd still not consider selling it. I'm like, well, then why are we talking to you? You're not a motivated seller.
Yeah.
So this has been some of the things you and I have been working on heavily, is how to have you
Quickly look and be able to determine, should I be talking to this lead or are they just wasting my time? And that you get mostly from the first 10 questions you ask them through messaging. So we had someone in there today that came through. They were a follow-up lead and we said, is your home still available? They said, yeah, but I want to sell it for 20 more years. See ya. We voted them right out, because what's the need of talking
Right.
now? There's nothing.
I mean, that's a lot of follow-up for 20 years.
20
just
years.
to-
Yeah.
To just get a major
That's a
opportunity to sell it, right? Or I think the one today that I got out of our system, where the guy has a house, I'm still don't know if I'm gonna sell it. We've been following up with him for 4 years. I still don't know if I'm gonna sell. I would only consider selling if I got way above my price. And then I'm still not sure. I'm in no hurry. And I'm like, goodbye.
Yeah.
Right? Like, because here's the thing, like, if you want to sell and that's what you want to do, you should try listing it with an agent. You should try that first. And I always recommend trying to do that. But there's sometimes where people don't want to, right? But if you want retail and you want all cash and maybe you're difficult to deal with, the best thing is to have an agent work for you so your buyers don't have to. But then we get a lot of those folks like we talk about where they don't want to put it on the market. They want to sell it off market. Sometimes it's because it needs a lot of work and they're kind of embarrassed about the condition. Sometimes these are beautiful houses that don't need any work. And they still don't want to list it with an agent for whatever their levels of motivation are. So fixer-uppers or beautiful houses is all the same thing. So working with motivated sellers is really the key and how to find them. So you mentioned we asked a couple of questions through Messenger. Tell me about your property. Why are you consider selling it? How soon do you want to sell? Usually off those there's 3 or 4 questions. Does it need any work before a family with young kids can move into it? So if they're like, yes, it does need a lot of work and I need to sell because of this reason, that's going to help you determine to pick up the phone. I think that's what Alyssa was talking about. When she's going through the leads, she's kind of weeding some of those out. So when Ryan's done working, she can say, okay, I've got a couple leads for you, but because she's already done some of that legwork for Ryan, that makes Ryan just focus on one thing now.
Yeah.
Closing calls.
Close the deal.
Same thing with Carlos.
Yep.
You're driving 2 hours one way. So if you're going to be in your car for 2 hours, at least now you've got some time to maybe make a phone call, do it over your Bluetooth so you're safe driving and calling. But this gives you the opportunity to maybe make a call or two in your commute time. So it's just making sure if you're going to spend an hour doing this, because I'll maybe only have 20 minutes today, maybe I only have an hour today. So if I'm going to do this for 20 minutes or a half hour or an hour, I'm making sure I'm generating leads and talking to the most motivated sellers who have a real estate issue, right? If you could just focus on doing those small things consistently, like what Ryan mentioned earlier, because that's the key, consistently, stuff starts happening. And if you could get 10, 15 incoming leads a week for free without having to spend any money doing it, well then now what's stopping you? And it's just finding that little bit of time and consistency. So that was really the big point of why we're happy to be on here. And so we've been power networking today. We've been making some calls today. We've got some deals that we're trying to put together. So
And I think it's really great too, because everybody's at a different space in their business, us included, but like we all have like that next level problem. And it's just trying to figure out like how to do it. So for Carlos, it's going to be, is it a virtual assistant? Is it somebody that you can hire part-time to just start generating those leads, running the opening script, to book you the closing calls? And I know the Alyssa and Ryan, like they're at that level, like, hey, I think we really need to invest in a CRM because we've got a lot of leads piling up. And then we've got Carol with so many leads. So now what is she going to do to maximize those? So I think that's really great to see all angles of this, because there's always a growing pain, a growing process. And it's again, like enjoying the journey. As frustrating as it can be sometimes, just knowing like keep moving forward, getting around the right people and just taking those extra chances here.
Those are the good problems.
Yeah.
Well, I think this is the key right here is networking. Like we talk about getting your village around you, getting around other people who are doing this, finding out what's like, holy cow, like I thought we had a lot of leads and Carol opens up her laptop today. I'm like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, to like slow down. Like, let me show you.
Every
these.
one lead we have, she's got like 5 of them. So it's like, there's a lot of things to see what's going on, and it's exciting to be around other people doing this, hearing what's winning, different parts and pockets of the country, because we're now in different parts of the country doing this, and it's just really neat to see. And it happens, it works everywhere.
Good.
Any final pieces of advice for anybody or thoughts to close with?
The networking is critical. Be around the right people, always be growing your network, agents, investors. It's not competition out there. Work together.
I mean, on my side is, I have a very limited time. So I just crank everything in 12 hours, 13 hours. So it's reps becomes some like habits, like I focus on that. And then, kind of my, if you focus on habits and be, disciplined on that, you can go and execute, all the goals you have.
Is that true? Any final thoughts?
Yeah, I just think consistency is key. I think your village is so important. I mean, we're here all day long doing this, which I love to do. Tonight, we're going to a meetup. We're going to be speaking on a panel tonight, and there's some really great people we're getting to meet, which I'm super excited for. So I don't know. I just love getting the community, and some of my greatest friends are real estate investors now because I've got to meet because of this business. And I think it does bring in a wonderful crowd of people, and it gives a common interest. And the neat thing about it is there's more people out there who need our help than there are people like us looking for them. So there's a lot out there. And so the deals are awesome. The checks are cool. The properties is great. But when you're actually talking to the sellers and you're listening to their stories, sometimes it's really cool, sometimes it's really sad. But the neat thing is like how we're able to help them. I talked to a guy today and he inherited his parents' home. He's living in it. It's a mess, right? He doesn't want to be there anymore, but I think there's some like sentimental things going on there.
Sure.
I've got another guy in Florida. He wants to sell his house. I don't know if you saw this one, but like such a sad story. He's like, I want to sell the house. I built it for her. I don't know who her is. Maybe it's his ex-wife. And then she left and broke my heart. And now I want to sell it, right? And so he's in a jam because this guy's built this house for his loved one. She's now left him. He's all heartbroken. He's distressed over it. So when you see this stuff, like people are going through some things, right? And if we could be nice and kind and thoughtful and treat them like I would want somebody to treat my grandmother, right? And we treat them with respect. And we're trying to actually help them and not just score some monster deal, but actually try to help them. And yeah, we're not a nonprofit, so we need to make some money, but we're never going to get rich off one deal. Just really put your heart out there first and help people. And I think
Absolutely, yeah.
that's what
Wealth is built over time, and one person at a time, just figuring out how we can help them.
yeah, this ain't no get rich overnight. Like,
Not an overnight success.
well, 20-something years in the making,
Yeah.
overnight success. But
As
yeah,
you can see here, everyone shows up every single day pouring in their all. And so thank you so much for tuning in today. If this is something that you want to learn more about, make sure you comment below. Make sure our team gets in touch with you. Subscribe if you like this kind of content. If you have any questions, drop them below. Make sure those get answered as well. See you next week, everybody. Thanks for tuning in.